Hello everyone! Today we're going to learn about the order of operations in Excel. Excel gives precedence to certain mathematical operators over others, and it's very important that you understand how Excel will compute a formula before you create one to ensure that Excel will perform the calculation exactly as you want it to. Do you remember the acronym PEMDAS from middle school math? If so, you're already familiar with how Excel performs calculations. PEMDAS stands for parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. This is also the same thing as BEDMAS, if you ever learned that in school, except instead of calling it brackets, we call it parentheses, which is the proper acronym. This is the order in which Excel performs calculations in all formulas. In Excel, multiplication and division, and addition and subtraction carry the same weight in the order of operations. PEMDAS is extremely important to understand and to follow because as we're computing formulas inside of Excel, if we miss a certain step like putting a parenthesis around a calculation, it will not come out with the correct answer. I'm going to show you that right here. Inside of this little table, we have two menu items. We have a sandwich that's chicken and a sandwich that's beef. Both have different prices, both have different quantities, and both have different totals. For the total, you can see that I did C2, which is the price, C2, which is the quantity, times B2, which is the price, which gave us our total. The exact same formula for the beef sandwich. Come down to the tax section. What it's doing is it's taking both of these, adding them together, multiplying it by a factor of 15.15%, which in this case is our tax rate. And then in the total column, what we're doing is we're adding D2 plus D3 plus D4 to give us our total. Now the order of operations in this scenario comes with the tax section, and I want you to pay attention to this very closely. You can see that if we're following PEMDAS, the first calculation that Excel will compute is the calculation within the parentheses. So that would be D2 plus D3, which is our two totals, adding them together. What Excel is then doing is it's doing our multiplication, which is the third step in PEMDAS, and multiplying it by a factor of 15% in this case. Now, what would happen if I decided to go in this formula and take out the parenthesis and just do D2 plus D3 times 15%? It should just work out, right? No. You'll notice instantly we almost have a tax rate that's 3 times higher as initially projected. So what it's doing is it's not following the order of operations and it's calculating way out of whack here. So we want to make sure we have that parenthesis in order so we can first calculate the totals and then multiply by the tax rate. And bam, we come out with our tax rate. Perfect. The next thing I kind of want to walk you through is exponents. So for example, a calculation with an exponent would be 5 to the power of 3, and then we could also have something like this. We could do D2 plus D3. It's going to say, whoa, we found a typo in your formula, and try to correct it. If you're not following the proper order of operations here in Excel, what you're missing is this little multiplication symbol. If you hit yes, it's going to go ahead. It's going to take 5 to the power of 3 times D2 plus D3. Something really important when you're connecting formulas that I wanted you to see there is that if you miss a connector, I call it connector, but if you miss the symbol that you need, whether you want to add these two, multiply them, subtract them, 5 to the power of 3 minus D2 plus D3. If you miss something in that order of operations in there, it's not going to compute properly as well. Taking another example right here, we have 3 times 5 plus 2. So if you want to pause the video and figure this out, which steps it would take, feel free to. But in this scenario, what it's going to do is it's going to compute the parenthesis first, right? Because we have the parenthesis and then we have the multiplication. So it's going to go 5 plus 2, and if we drop down, I've already completed it, equals 7. So it's going to calculate 7 inside of there, and then it's going to do the second part of the formula, which would then be 3 times 7, which would be 21. That's how order of operations works inside of Excel, and if you're going to be computing formulas and working within formulas, it's very important to understand PEMDAS and these concepts. Thanks everyone.